So I want to talk about the Legion 7 versus the GE67. I've been getting tons of requests from both Reddit and on my YouTube comments to do a comparison video. I was actually wrapping up a review of the GE67, and I think by the time I'm done with this, maybe a review might not be necessary. If I didn't cover anything that you want to see in the GE67 or even the Legion 7, let me know, and then maybe I'll do a dedicated review of each of these. Anyway, let's not waste any time. Let's start talking about the build and the design of both of these. You're going to start to see a bit of a trend here. As much as I love MSI and I love the GE67, the Legion just seems to be better in just about every single way, except for a few important ones that I'll get to. One of them is not the build quality. I think MSI is great. You're getting an aluminum build on the top, on the keyboard deck, but on the bottom, you're still dealing with plastic. And I was hoping when MSI announced this laptop, they showed the back panel and they spent some time talking about how they redesigned it and all that stuff. And it does look better, and it does look a lot more premium than the GE66. But plastic is still plastic. The Legion 7 just feels solid all around. You're getting a really high quality metal on the lid, on the keyboard deck. The trackpad is made out of glass versus plastic on the GE67. The back panel is completely metal too. It just feels more solidly built. And in terms of design, I do prefer the aesthetics. With the GE67, I'm not too much of a fan of the design, but compared to the GE66, the amount of tweaks they made, just cosmetic tweaks, just adding the MSI logo on the back, making it black, and the dragon logo does look a little more improved just because of different color choices they're using. Instead of that navy blue, this black does make it look a little bit more sophisticated. In terms of RGB, again, the win's going to go to the Legion because you're just getting a lot more of it. And on the keyboard, the RGB is more pronounced. It just looks sharper. It just looks sleeker. Okay, so now let's actually get into interacting with these laptops. Aesthetics is one thing, but it's definitely not the most important. So let's just start talking about the keyboard. The Legion wins again. It's significantly better. There's a lot more travel. There's just a little bit more bounce to the way the keys type. I just want to note that if you do have the GE76 or the GE77, the keyboard is significantly improved compared to the GE67. And even when I did my GE66 review, I did kind of complain about the keyboard. Same issue here. I'm not going to say it's a terrible keyboard. It is usable. But if you're considering these two laptops and keyboards are important to you, definite win for the Legion. I mentioned the trackpad when I was talking about the build, the glass versus the plastic. And they both feel just as responsive, I would say, but the glass trackpad does feel a bit more premium. And because it's larger, it automatically gets a win. So, I mean, it's not looking good for the MSI, is it? So now let's just talk about the ports. I think they're both very well equipped. This is kind of where it's going to be depending on which ports are more important to you. The Legion 7 has a lot more USB Type-C ports versus the GE67, and the GE67 has a lot more Type-A ports. On top of that, you're getting an SD card slot in the GE67, and if you care about an SD card slot, immediately the GE67 is going to get a win for you. And I also want to point out that the headphone jack is a lot better on the GE67. MSI always uses an ESS Saber DAC, but when the Legion starts to fight back, and this is very important to me, is USB charging. I mean, look at the size of these power bricks. It's insane. You don't always want to carry the charging brick with you, but with the MSI, it's the only way to charge. At least with the Legion, you can charge with USB Type-C. That's a big win for the Legion. Oh, I also want to point out that most of the ports on the Legion are on the back. And I usually don't like that because it's kind of a pain to get to. But because they're illuminated, it's easy for me to find them. It's easy for me to plug stuff in without having to get up and look around the back or pick up the laptop and spin it over backwards, plug it in. So I think that's a feature that every laptop needs to have. I don't know if Lenovo has some kind of patent on this or if they're the only ones that could do this. I hope not. I want to see this on every single laptop. It's the little things that make a big difference. Okay, so next let's talk about the display, which is probably why most of you guys are here. The GE67 has a QHD OLED screen with a 240Hz panel. Yep, it lives up to the hype. It is by far the best display I've ever laid my hands on. Not just TV, not just monitor, in general, it's the best display. I should say second best, actually. My Alienware QD OLED monitor is probably still the best. They're both made by Samsung. I think what I really love about the MSI screen is the 240 hertz, and because of the instant response time, it actually does make a difference. I feel like I'm getting an edge when I play competitive shooters compared to any other display. I almost feel like it's cheating. My performance has improved tremendously when it comes to getting headshots, close quarter combat, especially up close. That's when you start to see the most ghosting on traditional VA panels or LCD panels. I'm not really seeing much ghosting at all on this 240 hertz panel. And even if we want to just get away from gaming just for a little bit, watching videos on this is by far better than any other screen out there, including the Legion. When it comes to video games, I prefer 16:9 screens. When it comes to movies, you're actually getting the same screen size. Let me explain. So even though the Legion is 16 inches and the GE67 is 15 inches, the width of both screens are identical. With the Legion 7, the height is actually the same height of a 17-inch display. So it's just taller, but when you're watching content at 16:9, they're the same size. The Legion 7 starts to pull ahead when you're viewing web content or when you're being productive in any way, whether it's photo editing, video editing. If you're in Excel, Microsoft Word, you are getting more screen real estate in that front. But when it comes to content consumption, there's no difference. So I spent too much time talking about the OLED screen. Let's spend some time with the Legion. It's a fine screen. It gets brighter than the OLED. It's 500 nits versus 400 nits. But the color spectrum isn't as wide. And as you can see from this image I found on Flickr, you can see the color volume difference if you're comparing them. But you don't get G-Syncs with the OLED screen. But you don't need G-Sync at 240 hertz. You're not going to really be able to see much screen tearing. And if you do, it's very, very minor. And if you're focused on the game, you're not going to notice it. So for me, the win goes to the GE67. So next I want to talk about the speakers. Again, the Legion absolutely destroys the GE67. The GE67 speakers just aren't all that great. And I'll do a bit of a sound test so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, unfortunately for the GE67, there's no contest. Alright, so the last thing I want to talk about is the performance. I'm just going to breeze through this really quickly. They are, for the most part, very similar. Like, if you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, you're getting 3 or 4 more frames on the Legion 7 versus the GE67. At 4K, though, you're only getting 2 frames more. That's not worth deciding one over the other for. On Shadow of the Tomb Raider, though, you're getting a bit of a difference. It looks like about a 5 or 6% difference. In Cinebench R23, you're getting a higher score on the Legion. So overall, I mean, the Legion is a better laptop in every shape and form. But the reason why I put my personal money towards the GE67 is because of that OLED screen. That makes it a game changer for me. It's better for when I'm photo editing on my mirrorless camera. It's better for when I'm gaming. It's better for when I'm watching content. It's better for when I'm creating content. But overall, if you're not like me and the display is the most important thing to you, then obviously the Legion is the best for you. I typically have been editing my videos on my desktop, and I also have a MacBook and I also have a MacBook Air 13 for like small on the go stuff. That's going to replace my iPad. The main reason why I got this GE67 was when I'm traveling, I could have something to game on. And if I go out and I take some photos with my camera, I could come back to the hotel and edit them. And having the SD card slot is nice. So for me personally, the GE67 makes more sense. I can imagine for most people who rely on their laptop and they're not spoiled brats like me who have a MacBook, a laptop, and a desktop, and you only have one. If you only have one device to choose, I think the Legion 7i is probably overall a better device for you. And with that being said, I'll be back again with more content covering all different types of tech. Thanks, guys. Bye.